I was interested in science when I was really young. From the third grade on, I've always been interested in science and in math, and particularly in the type of work that I even do now. But one thing Escalante had the greatest impact in my life was teaching me how hard I had to work to go after my dreams, basically, to become a scientist, to become an engineer, to get my PhD. These are all the things that he instilled in me. And if it wasn't for the work ethic and how hard he made me push myself, I don't think I could have done it. One of the things I do remember is how loved I was in his classroom. I mean, just the love he showed me, the time he spent with me, the fact that I always thought I was probably one of his worst students, but despite that fact, he really put a lot of energy into me and made me feel very special. Made sure when I did well, he patted me on the back, and when I didn't do so well, he was stern enough to make sure he guided me.
Well, Escalante would use me. Since we were buddies, he would come to me as Dean of Discipline if he had any. And initially, he wouldn't have much discipline, but his discipline was the kids didn't do their homework, or it was more like an academic discipline. But he'd send them to me, and I'd be there. Why am I here? I says, you're messing with Escalante? Do you realize that you had to have your books and your materials ready? Yeah, but I forgot. Don't forget. Because not only do I work with kids that have problems, that are ditching and cutting classes or graffitiing or whatnot, I'm going to work with those kids that know better and are messing up with their teachers. So if you don't want to come in on Saturdays for this, you're going to bring me in for detention for not bringing, yes, I will, and I did. And Escalante and I, again, work as a partnership. So I applied for the principalship, took a test and everything, and came up very high on the list, which meant that I was going to be placed. Well, within a matter of, I think 6 months, I was placed as principal of Garfield High School. The next Monday in school, he comes into my room, and he says, I really want to congratulate you now. And he grabbed me and he says, now that you're here, we can do it, sir. We can do it. His expression, his emotion. And I said, yes, we can. And we did. We started working. Oh, to have a teacher feel this way toward an administrator, knowing full well the friendship we've had and the successes we had working together to better the kids, I felt good. I felt good. And we did. Anything he wanted, I was going to give him. And anything that he needed, because he was moving, he was growing. If our kids came in as sophomores, we had 3-year high school, and they never had any algebra in the middle schools or the junior highs. Can you imagine when they first come in as sophomores that algebra is their first course? Well, they only have time for geometry and maybe algebra 2, and that's it. Where are you going to teach pre-calc? Where are you going to teach math analysis? Like he was talking, where are we going to, when are we going to be able to teach this? You can't. There's no calculus program. So we started changing programs in our school. These kids had to have a remedial math alongside of algebra, 2 courses, the same with English. And so we build a program in summer school from something like 300 kids to 2,300. Classes are given in summer school for remediation. I understand that. But if we were so far back, didn't we need remediation? Well, you can't use algebra or geometry as a course that's remediation. You got to have this baby dingbat math. And I said, no, we need the courses so we can feed into Escalante's classes. He would work with them in algebra 2, and then in summer school, they were ready for his Cal classes. I'll give you one story what happened to Caltech. He used to travel with his kids to Caltech, make an appointment, and they stay there all day in Caltech. And they would pair the Caltech student with one of our kids. And this kid comes up and says, sir, guess what? I was sitting with my dude there, and he's a good man, and he got the same book, but we're 1 chapter ahead. We're 1 chapter ahead. Do you know what that meant to the kids? They were actually in a university with top-level kids, and they had the same book, and we were a chapter ahead. How could I not help a man like that was bringing so much inspiration to some of these kids, you know? And I did all I could. And see, that was the time, too, where 18 of the kids that took the AP Calculus exam, 14 of them, the results were invalid. Somehow there was a question on whether the kids had done wrong or something. Well, of the 14, when I started talking, one was in the military, and the military says, we don't care about that. We'll take the scores they have. Another one was in Princeton and had been there in the summer program, because most of these schools have these programs prior for freshmen. The professor writes back to me and says, I'm not going to send him back for a retest. This guy has been the finest. I use him as a tutor. He's tutoring the new kids. He's my #1 guy. I'm going to accept the original scores that were submitted by the college board.
My full name is Reina Alejandra Prado Saldivar, and I'm the curator of the exhibition Jaime Escalante, A Life con Ganas. Given the student population that we have here at Pasadena City College, I believe 40% of the students are Latino. Many of them are in MESA and STEM and our engineering programs, math programs, and so we're preparing this next generation. And doing the research, I was very surprised the work that he did at Garfield High School and then the summer institute he established at East Los Angeles City College was before STEM got implemented. So he was already ahead of the curve, saw what needed to be done, and that to me blew my mind. So I'm also an educator. I've been teaching for over 15 years. And as I shared during my presentation, I came to know of him through the movie. And it was just so powerful. I was like, oh, wow, that's my story too, so to speak, right? I know that experience. Maybe not that calculus, but I know that experience. And just the value and importance of having a good teacher to motivate you, to inspire you, to have you reach your best potential. There's two precious moments in there. One is a plaque that his students gave him from Bolivia. So when the film was released, they flew their teacher to Chicago. And all the names on that plaque are doctor. 25 years later, they're still in touch with their teacher, right? Like, I don't know if they knew that where he was, so to speak. I know Jay Matthews was publishing a lot in the Washington Post at that time. But just that connection, so precious. The other moment for me is hearing his voice. It was so important for me to have his voice. And doing what he does, teaching, right? You interviewed his students from the 80s, right? And here we are in 2015. They still love chemo. Like, how many teachers can you say that about?
My name is Ailey Gardea. I'm a former student of Kimo Escalante. We always called him Kimo. That was our nickname for him. And I had chemo for AP Calculus in the 81-82 school year. And the movie Stand and Deliver was based on our class, our story of taking the AP exam and then taking it again. A thing that I take with me from what I learned in his classroom is that he taught us how to be problem solvers. And that's something that you need in life. No matter what major you are in college, no matter what field you do, every day I tell my own children, be a problem solver. Think it through. One of the things about Kimo's teaching style is that he would let you get stumped. He would allow you to work through it. He wouldn't make it that easy. He wanted you to go through all the different thought processes. Let me try it this way, let me try it that way. And then when you've tried it the different ways, then he could just kind of guide you to the answer. But you felt like you did it, that he didn't spoon feed it to you. You had the achievement, and he was right behind you all the way.
Mr. Escalante, Kimo, always talked about breaking problems down. At first sight, a problem could be overwhelming, but when you think of the problem, think of a process that you may already be familiar with, or look for a process. Almost anything in life could be broken down, therefore becoming easier to process, easier to manage. Today, as a person in the architectural world, most of my projects require the ability to establish milestones within a process. Every day I use principles that I learned in Mr. Escalante's class. As a high school kid, I walked in his class thinking, this is great, we have an individual with a lot of success, and I am excited to be in that class. My reality on day one was that there were movie cameras, there were pictures taken every day, there was a lot of activity within the classroom. And I was one of those students that would come in and I would talk with him and tell him that it was disruptive, that as a student, I, as well as my classmates, deserve an entire class period of lessons as opposed to posing for the camera or showing action in terms of mathematics for the camera. Today, my view is completely different. I understand why he did that. I understand that he had the ability to see the lifelong process of many of us, all of us, while we were in the classroom. He knew that we had to divide our class between the class period and what we do for the future. Today, there are many activities that I do that reflect back on the lesson of Mr. Escalante, and that is to give back. Mr. Escalante had a big impact in most of us as students. For me particularly, there was a day when I walked in the class and I was thinking about what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Where am I going to apply to college? What do I want to devote my career to? And I was talking with him and I said to him that I was okay in a lot of my classes. I could earn a 4.0 without a problem. I could score 100% in an exam without much trouble. So I was having difficulty in deciding what to do with my life. He observed what I was saying. He listened to what I needed to say. He went and pulled a picture from his wall, and he showed me the Parthenon. And he said, Gemma, do you know that this is one of the most perfect buildings in the world? You should look it up. And in that moment, he didn't know that I had just received my results from an aptitude test. And my aptitude test indicated that I could do planning very well, that I could do coordination, that I was very good in processes. And at the same time, I had just received a scholarship for my drafting drawings. I had taken a drafting class just because I thought it would be what many of us students call the Mickey Mouse class, something that fulfilled the requirement that allowed us to move forward and dedicate time to advanced placement classes. So I think the three pieces came together for me where I thought, okay, I need an office job where I could still coordinate things, and I'm good with drawings. I appreciate processes, and here's a beautiful building that he's pointing me to. What I recognize is that he saw my life before I saw it.
The year I was in Mr. Escalante's calculus class was in 1982, the infamous year of where we were accused of cheating on the test. And through this day, whenever I doubt myself, whenever I encounter something that is academically challenging, I just repeat to myself, I passed that calculus test twice, I can do this. He was firm but funny, so I loved the sense of humor. I loved how he made math so relevant and so just applicable to just everyday life. And I loved his human side, where he would share all his personal stories and his struggles of his immigrant stories of coming to this country and not speaking English and having to learn English, and just the thought of having been pretty much a professor in Bolivia, and then having to come and start all over was a daunting task to me. Here I was trying to get through his calculus class, let alone just the thought of knowing that somebody invalidated all of that and having to start all over from the onset. I think that human connection. So I loved him. I loved the way he would challenge us. I loved the tough love, and he wouldn't let us get away with anything. And I appreciated that. He really helped me to focus and to just instilled that he helped everyone blossom. I think we were already on the path towards college in that one particular class of 1982, but he just made you better, and he just made you believe in yourself more than, if somebody believes in you more than yourself, then how can you fail at anything, right? Because no, somebody believes in me, of course I can do this. There are brains in East LA, there's potential, there's a lot of kids with a lot of talent. And I think it motivated kids, and it motivated me to become an educator and to want to return to the community. And I taught in East LA for 22 years. I love it. I really feel that it's a passion. It has to be a passion to put up with the struggles of working in inner cities. It has to be a compassionate drive also to be able to see beyond, the poverty and see beyond the stresses that kids come to school with, and to see that potential, and that's what he gave me. He saw beyond. He saw, you can be the engineer, you can be the teacher, you will be this. Just work hard, and that's what I try and instill in my teachers too, and to let them see how important they are. And you never know, with that one statement that you make to that kid could and might make the difference in the life of that child.
My name is Edward Ramirez, or Ramirez. I've just been awarded the Jaime Escalante, Future Teacher Scholarship. I'm wanting to teach math after my engineering career, and it feels great. You watch a film, maybe his character, his persona is captured in that film, and after reading the biography, I know it's not like if I met him, but I read about him, and I just really felt that, I guess that empathy towards how he would treat individuals, and I tried to do the same. And even from the film, I was inspired to help people, right? And even as a tutor, like, I tried to implement that in my work. I tried to be that person, because for me, like, being the first generation student, engineering, it's, people think I'm crazy, like, you're studying math and physics, the weekend, like, you're not out partying, I'm having part of my book, right? But, whatever, that's that. And, I was really inspired by him, because he really made an impact on me. It's been very rewarding for me, because today, actually, I volunteered. People are taking their final, and I went to volunteer in their room, and, I have people telling me that I'm the role model, that they look up to me. To me, that's crazy, right? Like, that's just coming from, being in East LA, like, this kid that doesn't think he has a future, to coming here, and then, all these things happen, and then people are telling you you're my role model, like, I look up to you. That to me is just, I'm content, I'm happy, I don't care about money, I care about that. And that's why I feel like when I tutor, I feel like I'm on fire or something, like I'm alive, and people need me, and they want me to help them, and I just care about them, and I'm passionate about that. So that's why I want to be a professor. Pi Day, PCC Pi Day, look at this.
People, regardless of race or color, are able to succeed. And it doesn't matter what kind of struggle you may be going through, you still have the chance to do it, as long as you have the willpower within yourself and the faith that others will support you, no matter what the downfall is or the challenge. Escalante was definitely an inspiration. It's helped me want to finish college. It's helped me want to teach. It's helped me want to understand the perspectives of teaching and why it's such a great influence, and how come Escalante wanted to be such a rigorous person, and how he wanted to use discipline as one of his strategies. And sometimes I understand that discipline helps one grow, because you continue to practice on something that may either seem like it's a failure, or it might lead to an actual, achievement, but you never know up until it's achieved. And being able to work that hard and finally achieve is like just something unbelievable and unspeakable. And Escalante is just one of those type of people where he shows and goes to prove that he not only went out of his way to teach and understand like a subject, but he was in such a great passion that he wanted to install that passion into every other student that he taught.
I would hope that teachers, when they experience this exhibit, it's a reminder to themselves that, teaching is such a gift, and they can change the lives of their students, and they have that opportunity every single day. So I am excited about the exhibit and the message that it can convey to teachers and students. Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yeah, and to the general public, what I hope this conveys to them is the community college is the place where people get that second chance in life. That's what Jaime Escalante got when he was a busboy across the street. And our college president said, hey, why don't you come to PCC, learn English, and the rest is history. Mr. Escalante enrolled here at the college, took English, and that teacher encouraged him to enroll in other courses. Of course, he took math because he loved math, and enrolled in a career and technical education program. Well, those teachers encouraged him to continue studying. And it's such a great community college story because while he was here studying, he earned that career technical education certificate and earned a job at Burroughs Corporation right here on Foothill Boulevard. He earned a job, then he was able to, him and his wife, purchase a home, and he stayed enrolled here at Pasadena City College taking courses so that he could transfer to the university. That's exactly what the community college is able to do for people. They can get that second chance in life, you know, get some skills, get a job, apply what they've learned right away, and then even stick with it, stay in school and pursue bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and credentials, and even further doctorates, you know, and Mr. Escalante is proof of that. So I think it's a, you know, pretty awesome thing that we were able to capture that story, and it's amazing that Pasadena City College was the home to that story.
Jaime Escalante is, was, and will continue to be as a spirit. Understand that what we're trying to do is to hold on to that spirit. That's what it is for us. Everybody who touched it or nurtured it, from the president of the institution to the production staff to put together the catalog, to the custodial staff that prepared the room, to the facility staff that prepared the room, to the administrative staff that supported the installation, the programming, the exhibition, to the partnerships with the Pasadena Playhouse, to the partnership with FACE. Every time we went into a meeting, we said Jaime Escalante, they said, what do you want me to do? And I think so when that happens consistently, you just sort of know and you release and you let go and you just say, got it. What makes the story, I think, extraordinarily unique now is that it is coming from Latin America with a range of set and skills and experiences that already were in place. And the two things in many ways that I think makes California community colleges interesting is you want to get a credential, meaning, and you don't have language acumen, and we have the ability to offer him both. It wasn't about him, it was always about how do I help you to be whoever you're supposed to be in this world. And if I do that, if I can figure that part out and help you to figure it out, and help to sort of nurture that and help you to sort of move through that, then we're going to be okay, and that you're going to be okay.